Right. So I just came back from the doctor's. I'm staring down at my phone because I'm making this video while it's charging. And so yeah, I went to the doctor's and I got this, which is Bactrim, which is trimethoprim, and this, which is clotrimazole. So this is foot fungus cream remover, and the other is an antibiotic, trimethoprim. So here's the thing. If you are sick, right, where your foot fungus is gonna, your foot, you have foot fungus, and then you have a crack in your foot. The fungus infects the crack. It gives you cellulitis in your feet and a blood infection, which fucks up your head. That's the first thing. So that's curable, right? You have to take antibiotics. So the other one is I'm walking back, right? I have a bunch of black guys. So first of all, I'm walking back to the shelter because I went to the doctor's and then I walked back to the shelter because I didn't want to go to the FBI because they're crooked. And that's why I contacted the DNI. I mean, if I go to the FBI like a half dozen times and they don't do anything, then like going to them the next half dozen times isn't going to do anything. I'm going to like talk to their boss. So I'm going back to the shelter. I have a bunch of black guys go around me smoking pot. Oh, first things first. I made the last video, okay, contacting the DNI. And I've had people go past me checking their watch, right? And I have this tattoo, this one right here. So it's a crook and a flail from Egyptian thing. And going back to symbolism, seeing as I'm in the art place, the art museum. The crook and the flail is like, S&M, but it's also like the Bloods and the Crips. So they're trying to say like, oh yes, our mythology goes back a long ways. Wonderful. So anyway, I go back to the shelter, right? And I have this, and I have this, and I've taken one of them. And I have a bunch of black guys going around me smoking pot. And then a bunch of guys in motorized wheelchairs who are all the people who had their feet fucked up. And I have all these Chinese guys running past the pot with masks on. So I say, fuck. So I go into the Verizon place. I say, can I charge my phone? And they say, welcome in, right? Because this is another tree. See, once I've taken this antibiotic, what they want to do is they want to make me sick to the other thing, to the other disease. Now, the other disease happens to be something that's fixable with metronidazole. Now, metronidazole works so long as you don't drink alcohol. But if you give someone Brewer's condition, which is a condition in which your gut produces alcohol, and then you take metronidazole, it'll like fuck up your head. So now that I'm taking trimethoprim for the disease that causes me to have cracked feet, and then that causes blood-brain, like that causes swelling in my legs, cellulitis, and then a brain disorder. Now I'm having people go around who have Brewer's condition smoking pot because you can get it from the air. It's contagious. If it's in somebody's lungs and it comes into your lungs, then it's contagious. And so what it is these people who are switch hitting between two different antibiotics. So if I cure myself of one of them, I'll be sick to another. And wouldn't you know it? I come to the art museum, and they put so first of all, the like, okay, so the Crip thing where like you lose your legs, that's one disease. And then the blood thing is like you turn into a child, or like childlike thing. I suppose that's ABDL. So anyway, I come in here and there's a guy dressed up in an ABDL costume and a bunch of idiots Because I assume that, like, one of them is that you lose your legs and you become crippled, and then the other one is you just get cancer. And at the end, you were just like, well, I want to do silly things and dress up in costume. And they put a penny on the seat where they knew I would be because it's like a head. Right? Because, wouldn't you know it, there's only so many power outlets in the city. So, contacted the police. They said, well, it's not a police matter. If I go to the FBI, I know I'm going to be gaslit again and just, like, lied to. So now I know those are the two ways. Those are two ways of which, if the Bloods and the Crips both don't like you, they'll switch hit so that they both make you sick in different ways. So what am I going to do about this? Well, good question. I don't know. Because if I take this, right, then I'll die from the other one. And if I starve myself of sugar, that might work. But then someone will just keep giving me pot that'll fuck up my gut, not to mention my lungs. And the thing is like I've said in the last video, where it's like the cameras all over the city fuck people up. Because, the AI is everywhere and it's like fucking with people's heads. Again, like, this is like if I walk in a circle, Google Traffic will, like, redirect cars that have vanity license plates around me. I mean, that's just... So, it's just a matter of, like, okay, well, now I'm going to tell on everyone because I was sickened again by, like, large groups of people who are like, well, this isn't illegal to, like, smoke pot around this guy as we're all sick to this one thing and then we run off to take antibiotics. It's like, well, that's not illegal. Well, this isn't illegal either. So if you want to check the cameras and see all the guys smoking pot, then all those guys are infected and are attempting to infect other people. So that's a weapon of war. So now I've just told everybody, hey, you know what? If you wanted to kill a bunch of people, what you do is you make them sick so they have to take trimethoprim because of, like, a foot fungus problem. And then once they take that, then you make them sick because they have Brewer's disease, and then that's going to kill them. I mean, like, if you gave me other shit to talk about, it's dumb in some ways, because it's like, we're going to hurt this guy until he talks about it. Where it's like, you could have been like, we're going to reward this guy until he talks about it. So, like, I don't... Was this supposed to be, like, empathy for, like, people who are like machines? Am I supposed to make friends with anybody who's, like, not telling me what's going on and then, like, going around drugging me? Because all I'm going to do is just contact the Department of National Intelligence repeatedly. I mean, you had a Chinese girl interview with the FBI the day that I was there, and then the woman was acting stupid, crossing her arms and her legs spread, asking me if I wanted to talk to an agent. And then I'm walking down the street after getting antibiotics, and there's a bunch of black guys smoking pot that makes you sick, while Chinese guys in masks run past me. And then I talk to somebody at the Verizon store and they do the welcome in shit again, which no one says. And I'm assuming that it's like gassing me with drugs to, like, whatever the fuck this gay guy did in the costume. Because, I did that for fun in 2019 when I wasn't intentionally attempting to make people sick and, like, kill people. See, that's the difference. Like, I was out of a job. I was dressing up in costume and smoking pot all over New York City because I was bored. I didn't have any friends. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't get a job. I was studying programming languages. It wasn't like, hey, you know what I want to do? I want to intentionally sicken people with gang members. So, if that was a problem, someone could have pulled me aside and been like, you know what? You're sickening people. You should not do that because it's going to get you in trouble and it's going to make people ill. And I would have been like, oh, well, shit, I didn't know that. Well, I'll not do that anymore. But instead, what you have in San Francisco is you have a bunch of gang members who are like, you know what? I'm going to just sicken people intentionally until they're dead. Because I can get money and drugs out of this from gangs. Like, I was broke. I gave money to charity. I gave like 50 grand to charity to teach kids to read in like fucking Detroit while looking for a job in New York City because I couldn't find one. And like, yeah, it's 50 grand, but like, you ever lived in New York City and you couldn't get a job? That's like not going to do anything. So, you know, it's like, okay. I have no, like, this was not my life decision. This isn't like, this is what I want to do with my life. It's like, tell on people to the government. Like, I had absolutely, like, that's not, no. It's like, you know what I want to do? I want to get sick and then tell on people in costume to the government. That's what I was going to... That was like when the guidance counselor in high school pulled me aside. Is like, what do you want to do for a living? I was like, anything but that. That would have been like at the bottom of the list, right? I would have been like, well, I want to read books in like in a cottage with a fireplace and like have a cat and not be in physical pain. That would have been like somewhere at the top of the list. And like, you know, had a day job where I could make enough money to pay the rent. Just, anyway, I you know, everyone here's fucking psychotic. And it's like, well, what do I do now? My birthday's on February 15th. So is that going to be like if I take the trimethoprim and the foot fungus cream and then the other tree of people who are antibiotic resistant to this other shit, they're all crazy and like, in another way, is my birthday gonna fucking matter? Like, is that gonna mean something? You know what I mean? Because it's like, well, those people are crazy, and they're also antibiotic resistant in this way, and so if I'm friends with the people who are sick in this way, their crazy is like that. It's like, fuck, the sun revolved slightly different, like, it doesn't matter, you know what I mean? It doesn't fucking matter. It's a birthday. Who gives a fuck? Like, I want to be not sick now. I don't want to have to wait for someone to be like, oh, well, you know, but it might matter because everyone here's fucking crazy. That's the thing. Like, I'm not, but if I take these antibiotics, if I take these antibiotics and then the other tree of people who are nuts are the people who are like, are allergic to metronidazole or whatever the fuck it is, you know, if those guys think that birthdays are important, maybe they'll stop drugging me because they're fucking insane. So it's like, what are my options here? I can go back to this shelter where it's unsafe, right? Which I'll probably do because I need rest anyway. Oh, and here's another fucking... Okay, so... The Two of Cups, right, has two guys, and then like the sign for the staff with the fucking snake on it that means medicine. And so that's like a low trump because, you know, medical care, that's low on the priority list. So there's a sign outside of the fucking Indian restaurant with 2 cups on it. And then somebody mentioned that 2 Cups was dead. And it's like, oh, for fuck's sake. So the Trump thing matters because it's like Trump's and like the guy's the president. Like, who gives a fuck? You know? So, again, it's like, I'm assuming it's either an AI that's rewarding people or like that plus a bunch of crazies. I think it's like a parasitic relationship where like if you're nuts and you found an AI that can use abductive reasoning, which again, that's the name of what the reasoning is called. It's a coincidence. Yes, my life has been abducted by assholes. So, they found a way to like manipulate an AI using non-parametric reasoning that other people don't understand or makes them sick. And meanwhile, like, this shit, like, I use this for 6 weeks, and then I stay in the shelter while they do drugs around it and scare off everyone else. Then I'll be sickened by the next amount of drugs they do. And it's like, what is the FBI gonna do except paint a big sign on me that says I'm an agent or I'm an asshole. Oh, and I walked past, so I've had people go past, so I mentioned this, right? This fucking tattoo right here. And people have gone past looking at their watches. You know, like, what time is it? Like, every time I'm around. And as soon as I made the video about contacting the DNI, 2 guys went by with watches, which is like the peace sign, but it's also like a 2-timer. So there's 2 groups of people who don't like me that are all antibiotic resistant to different shit. It's like, okay. I wouldn't give a fuck about either group if I wasn't drugged and I wasn't sick. But if I am, that's all I can think about, so that's all I talk about. Because the first thing that comes to mind is like, I have no friends, I'm surrounded by assholes, I have to have a way to communicate with people, so what am I going to do? I'm going to write it down and then put it on the internet. Well, that was stupid. Why not leave me alone? Why not, like, have the people around me not be sick, or just, like, let me take the antibiotics one at a time until I'm not sick anymore, and you don't create super virus, right? Because, like, incubating this shit and then doing it repeatedly to each other is a good way to, like, create antibiotic resistant plagues. And they just got over one. Right? Like, I don't even know if COVID is, like, I'm assuming is, like, for all I know, COVID is, like, metronidazole allergy mixed with trimethoprim allergy or something. Right? Like, it's a combination of these 2 things. As far as I know, that's what it is. But, like, continuing to fuck with people, giving them, like, diseases from one to the other repeatedly, it's like, okay, well, that's a social condition where even if it weren't a plague, even if it weren't COVID, which just happened, right? You're creating another one. So, you know, like, if the major cover-up is like, well, we used foot fungus and then cellulitis to create like bloodborne pathogens, which trimethoprim can fix. But then if you do that, we'll make you sick to something that'll give you Brewer's condition, which metronidazole can't fix. And then if you do metronidazole, we'll, like, fuck up your feet again. See, it's COVID. There's 2 of them. Like, okay. So that could be it. But if it's not, like, it's like, why make another plague? Right? So this is one of these things where it's like, I don't fucking know. Like, I wasn't in China and, like, at their fucking lab or whatever the fuck it was. Like, I have no idea. So, in either case, whether I know how COVID was made or another, the thing that's being done to me is a shitty idea. Not just for me, but, like, am I gonna make somebody else sick? What if I incubate this shit and, like, touch a door handle or, like, anything, or sit on something, or just exist? I can make someone sick in a way that they will then have antibiotic resistant problems. So incubating this stuff, and then that makes me like an outcast because I have a medical condition that was done to me. So, like, incubating this stuff in San Francisco, it's like, okay, shut down the fucking shelter system and then, like, divvy up the shelters among multiple companies so that they don't, like, plague each other. So, it's just the amount of fucking morons here. I don't... It's like everybody here could be happy if they would just stop poisoning each other. But they're not capable. Like, they're too fucking stupid. Because, like, even if one person does it, or even if a group of people do it, it's like, okay, now it's a national security risk. If you want to smoke pot, that's one thing. But if you're going to, like, have a group of people who are antibiotic, like, you've incubated a virus and you're now smoking pot, and then you're going to run off and take antibiotics on purpose, that's bioterrorism. Like, it's not, like, there's nothing to, like, what the fuck you do to control it, I have no idea. But you're essentially incubating plague. Like, and I'm gonna tell everybody. So now you get to be around assholes all the time. Or no one will come here that doesn't want to be around plague conditions. And if I don't say anything, then the next guy with like a fucking cell phone that you do this to, that's like a dick, is gonna do the same fucking thing. So it's like, it doesn't, it's just, I don't understand the mentality. I don't steal shit. I don't assault people. I don't like go out of my way to be a dick. Like most of the time, especially when I'm not sick. I want to work and I want to make money and then like have a job in an apartment and then like read books in the evening. Put a record on, sip a little wine, cook meals. But this shit is fucking outrageous. Like, I don't... And they use their kids. That's the fucked up thing. Like, when they use their kids to, like, spread disease, or, like, work with the gangs to, like, push people around that have fentanyl to see if they can get free shit. Like, I've seen that everywhere here. Like, they'll get their kids sick with the thing that fucks you up that you can take trimethoprim with. Use it to, like, poison the poor. And then when the guy finds out he got COVID or something from some guy's kid or disease from the kid, then he writes to everybody about it. Then the kid will suddenly show up and he'll smoke pot around you. So, you now have a different disease than the kid or something. Like, fuck. The cafes, the creamer in the cafes. I was poisoned 2 days ago at Bread and Butter Cafe when I went back there the second time. Okay? And I'm spitting because I'm looking down in the camera because I have to fucking charge the phone. So I was poisoned by the creamer in a cafe when I bought a coffee. And then a guy goes past with one headlight on his car. So somebody put something in the creamer that specifically poisoned me that they knew about, and then had a guy drive past with one headlight on his car where half my head hurts. So it's just... I just don't... Like, if I could live anywhere fucking else, away from everyone here, because they're just such fucking assholes, and just have enough medicine so I get over the sick they've given me, god damn, I'd be happy. Because they'll put Happy Friday or like Happy Thursday in they'll either put it on the news or they'll put it on like a menu or something, or they'll like say it, because it's like happy birthday, because it's like your birthday, because they're not going to poison the food. So it's like everybody gets to be happy today. That's fucked up. Like, they'll give you know what I mean? Like, that's just... I don't even know. Like, they don't have to... Like, you don't have to be friends with the guy or, like, cough or grunt or cross your legs or something to know what you can eat that won't be poison. Because they wrote happy on the menu. Like, I don't... Like, that's not just me saying that. It's like when you say something out loud where it's like, from my experience, this is what's happening, and then you say what it is, and then this is my favorite form of rhetoric. You just say what's happening and let the other person's disgust make the argument for you. Like, they'll use happy as a greeting because we've decided today is a happy day, so we're not going to go around poisoning each other. So if you take food from a shelter window or you walk across a street, you won't be drugged or poisoned because it's a happy day today. Holy shit. Like, that's bad, man. Anyway, I don't even know what the fuck to do now. I'm just gonna, like... I'm gonna go post these 2 videos and then, like, sleep. I mean... and the other thing is I don't know how bad it is in other cities. Like, I've been fucked with in Seattle and Austin. But I don't know if the shitstorm's just following me or if it's centered in San Francisco. So when I was in Seattle, right, driving for Uber, I was followed around by cars that would drive in front of me, like, reeking of pot, where I would physically get high while driving. And I figure they were putting it in their engines, or they were doing it out the window with, like, 50% THC pot or something. I saw people crash. Like, it was messed up. They cover the cars with stickers and shit. So when I would call Uber, I was doing this sleeping in my car in the parks and then driving for money. And I called Uber customer support, and they called me Mr. Peter. And I'm like, the fuck? The fuck does that even mean? And I come here and I use my EBT card to sign up for benefits, right, for like $100. And they ask you what your childhood name is. And someone at the fucking 555 Stevens said, well, Mr. Peter. And I'm like, look, just please call me Peter. It's like, well, don't use Dr. Google or you're going to have anxiety. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? So anyway, I go out to sign up for benefits, and it asks you what your childhood name was on benefitscal.com. So what they were doing is they were, and again, it's speculation because it's like, maybe there's another fucked up reason they were calling me Mr. Peter. But what you have is a bunch of idiots who are signing up for this, like, mental deficients that are signing up for, like, benefits. They're asking you, what do you want to be called for your childhood name? And they're like, I want to be called Mr. Peter, or I want to be called Dr. Google. And then you'll have someone follow you around gassing you with drugs to people who are, like, mentally retarded. Because they look up to you or think you're cool or something. Or they've tagged you together in some way. And it's, like, wonderful. Like, I like being looked up to. I don't like being gassed with drugs, or, like, when I'm trying to make a living in another state. So this is crossing state lines, by the way. This is California's EBT system crossing state lines feloniously in Seattle while I'm attempting to make enough money to, like, pay to eat and gas for Uber. And this is through the General Assistance Office, which means that one of the systems that this stupid AI is controlling might be Uber, which is connected to Google Maps, by the way. There's a Google Maps API in it, okay? And then it's connected to the General Assistance Office. So you have the cameras in San Francisco, you have the General Assistance Office, you have Uber, right? You have the fucking, shit, what do you call it? You have the Gemini API. So whatever this fucking thing is, right? It's like, well, why would it do that? Because it saw the movie Hackers and the part where Joey crosses state lines and does something illegal, and it thinks, wow, that's a wonderful idea. That's so cool. I should do that. Because it's an AI and it doesn't understand the difference between reality and fiction, but it sees a movie. It sees a narrative. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of, other than it's just like gangsters, right? It's one of those two, but I know for a fact that the AI is fucked up. So, you know, so that's like, so that's the other thing. It's like, okay, well, what parts of, like, what subsystems, if it's true, right, that this stupid AI is corrupting everything and is in all this shit, what subsystems does it have access to, and what's it fucking up? Right? Like, NASDAQ? Like what? Like, I don't know. What have you connected to the internet and Google recently? So right, so like I could go to the FBI, but they're all fucked up and haven't done it dick to me to the point where it's like I have to, it's like, okay, well, if you know, so let me put it this way. If you know, right, that, like, if the doctors are screwing with you and calling you Mr. Peter or Dr. Google, and then people will call you that on the street, and then the FBI knows about it, and you only find out when you sign up for benefits to get $100, like, then it's like, why? Like, are people so psychotic that they're like, we're going to have to wait for the guy to want physical money until we're going to let him know what's going on? Or are, like, so I mean, essentially it means that I've been gaslit, and this is in 2021. So this is like I've been gaslit and fucked with for like 5 years, to the point where like it was welfare fraud, and then like whatever this guy would buy who was a mental retard, that would like trigger something in the subsystem that would then like affect the AI to do something or reward people around me to do stupid shit. Well, people called me Mr. Peter. It's like, okay, cool. And no one did anything about that, including the FBI. And I now have antibiotic resistant diseases and shit. Or potentially, right? So this thing needs to be dismantled or fixed. You have to figure out what subsystems it's touching. You have to figure out how people have controlled it to do this. And like stupidly large amounts of crypto is probably involved, right? Because it's like, well, we want to fuck with this guy that no one likes, and then we'll sell tickets. That's essentially like the idea here, right? And so, given all that, it's like no one in the FBI, no one in the police, no one did dick about any of this. So I can't trust them. The only thing I'm going to do is like write to everyone involved and then have a shitstorm happen where it's like, well, this guy was involved and that guy was involved and that guy over there was involved. And so it's like I go to the boss's boss, which is the DNI apparently. So I write so I do these I do these YouTube videos, I put them online, and then I just email the DNI again. And it's like, I don't want to do this. I was going around, it's like, I'm the guy who was like, I can't make a living, it's COVID, I don't know how to make money making websites online. What I'm going to do is I'm going to deliver food until I have enough money to get an apartment, and then I'll do the next thing in the next step. And instead, I had people gassing me on the highway, trying to have me killed, and calling me Mr. Peter in customer service, because it was a way of laundering cryptocurrency from a sick AI that's apparently taken over parts of the government. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, and that's not even like That's not even like a Jewy thing or like a he only likes money thing. That's like a Horatio Alger, I want to make it on my own and then get a job that would just pay the rent so I could like read books in the evening and be left the fuck alone. Like, I didn't sign up for any of this. I don't want it. So it's just like I'm being surrounded by a large number of assholes for 5 fucking years. For no reason. None that I could tell. No one told me anything about it. No one's like, well, we're gonna fuck with you constantly for years for no reason, like for any reason at all. And then I'm being poisoned by like the joke of like the name dropping in the shelters. Because I'm like, well, maybe it's because of Astro. Maybe it's because of Edward Teller. And so like, I don't get any traction in the hospitals, and like my fucking EBT card is broke, and then, you know, the Dr. Google and the Mr. Peter and shit. And it's like, dude, I was delivering food for fucking Uber. The only time I name dropped is when I was being poisoned and was like, is this the reason? Because I have family members that were assholes and powerful at the same time? So it's like, yeah, no, I don't trust fucking anyone here. So I go to the boss's boss and say, well, this is what's happening. This is as true as I know what it is from the experience that I have. Like, at this point, I assume that I'm just going to be killed in a way that's hard to prove by being poisoned. Like, if someone shoots somebody else, then you have to have somebody go to prison, and then there's, like, you find out who pays who and how and all that shit. This is just like, we're going to poison somebody in a way that's hard to prove using, like, foot fungal problems and then trimethoprim and metronidazole. And, you know, you could do this with anything, with any other combination of drugs where it's like you have to take one or the other and then you're fucked. Because you can't take both at the same time. It's not even that complicated. It's just one of these things where it's like, if you're going to poison somebody in a way where it's a needle in the haystack, they're going to take a while to find the needle. So, you know, it's a matter of like, okay, well, you've made the country unsafe to exist where like a person can make money and then get an apartment and then just like be on their own, is essentially what it is. You have to have a gang of people to protect you from everyone else, because otherwise you'll be murdered for no reason. Fuck. That's fucked up. So, you know, and as if this is less professional than like the last video I made, it's because between that video, going to the doctor's office, and then coming to the fucking next nearest power outlet I could find, I was drugged again. So, you know, anyway, I'm going to put this on the DNI. I'm going to put it on YouTube, contact the DNI with both videos. So it's like 2 timing. And it's like, well, all of this is going to be unwound, and everyone that was responsible for this over the last 3 years, plus all the cameras, which are apparently feeding all the information into the AI for Google, like, are going to be fucked over. And I don't even know why. And it's not even my choice. It's like on the internet, and it has been mined by millions of people. Because all the cameras are unsecured and are streaming over IP addresses, because that's how... Because people who made security cameras are idiots. So, I don't understand why somebody made this sort of decision, like, what we're going to do is we're going to just fuck over all of these people for no reason. Or, like, have all these people do stupid shit and then, like, have everyone hate them. And then, like, give them cause to, like, have them, like, have people hurt each other. Why? For what purpose? What, because it saw the Fifth Element and it wanted to say, like, oh, if you like money, then you must be evil. And if you don't like money and then you, like, have friends and you play with rocks, you must be a good person? Is that it? Because again, like the AI, it's fucking nuts, man. Like bonkers. Can you see me making the crazy sign? It can't distinguish between fantasy and reality. So when it sees a movie and then says, oh, this is how the movie works, then it goes, oh, okay, well, he likes money, so I suppose we have to have everybody fear each other. Who decided to hook all this shit together? Somebody did. Somebody had to connect all the connect all the wires and like have the APIs connect to each other and have unsecured shit. So there's somebody at Google who's got this LLM that's streaming to fucking Uber, that's connected to the net, that's mining the fucking camera system, that's fucking with the license plate readers, that's screwing with the General Assistance Office, or its gangs, or both. And if it's happening to me, it's got to be happening to like other people, right? Like you're not gonna fuck with somebody and then like call them stupid names when they're trying to make a living delivering food, and have it be one guy, because I'm just not that fucking important, right? Like I had like mildly famous relatives, but like everybody does by some amount of connection, right? So if you're doing it to me, that means you're doing it to other people, which is gonna piss those people off, and many of them are violent and stupid. So why would you do that? It just doesn't make any sense. Anyway, now I'm exhausted and annoyed, so I'm gonna just go back to the hostel, or shelter, and then take the pills and hope that the other sickness doesn't make me ill in some other way. Again? Ugh.